A 47-year-old man walks out of Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom in the middle of his case, demonstrating clear disrespect toward one of America's most respected judges. What follows, when his attorney brings him back, delivers a powerful lesson about respect, consequences, and personal growth. This is the story of Danny Morrison, a case that shows what happens when arrogance collides with real justice and why Judge Caprio's handling of the situation became memorable to everyone who witnessed it. If you believe respect should be both earned and shown to others, tap the like button and share in the comments if you've ever seen someone's behavior change your opinion of them. You're about to understand why walking out of that courtroom became both the worst and the most transformative decision Danny ever made. This story highlights the value of experience, humility, and second chances. Stay until the conclusion, because Judge Caprio's final words to Danny offer a meaningful reminder about justice and human dignity, one that resonates with people everywhere. Before we continue, tell us where you are watching from. This story has reached viewers around the world because of the universal message it carries. Friday afternoon, 3:30 p.m., Providence Municipal Court. Judge Frank Caprio is finishing a long week of hearings. There is one final case on the schedule. Danny Morrison, age 47, charged with reckless driving and failing to appear at his initial court date. Judge Caprio, now 77, has presided over thousands of cases throughout his career. Through experience, he's learned to quickly recognize who is sincerely remorseful, who is attempting to take advantage of the system, and who simply does not realize the seriousness of their situation. The bailiff calls Danny's name. A man enters wearing an expensive, tailored suit, polished designer shoes, and a gold watch that catches the courtroom lights. Danny Morrison owns 3 successful car dealerships in Providence. He is a self-made businessman who began with a small used car lot 2 decades ago and expanded his business through assertive sales, strategies, and a strong belief that financial success can resolve most problems. His BMW is parked outside in a no-parking zone. He assumed it would only take a few minutes. In the courtroom gallery, about a dozen people wait for their cases. An older woman holds her purse tightly, clearly anxious. 2 young men in work uniforms quietly discuss their own parking tickets. The court stenographer glances up, immediately recognizing the type of defendant about to speak. Officer Martinez, the one who issued Danny's original ticket, sits in the back row, interested in seeing how this unfolds. Danny approaches the bench with the confident swagger of someone accustomed to using money and influence to get what he wants. No respectful posture, no Your Honor, just the attitude of a man who believes this entire process is beneath him. "Yeah, I'm here about the driving thing," Danny says, not bothering to stand properly. "Look, Judge, I'm a busy man. I employ 47 people. I pay more in taxes than most people earn in a year. Let's just settle this with a fine so I can get back to running my businesses." Judge Caprio looks up from the paperwork, expression neutral, though his eyes take in every detail of Danny's behavior. In nearly 50 years on the bench, he has developed a strong dislike for arrogance presented as importance. "Mr. Morrison, you failed to appear for your original court date," the judge says. "Today we are addressing both the reckless driving charge and your failure to respect the court's schedule. Do you understand the seriousness of this?" His voice remains calm, but those familiar with him notice the shift. His posture straightens. His tone becomes more precise. "Mr. Morrison, this court operates on respect. Respect for the law, for this process, and for everyone who appears before it. Your attitude suggests you believe your business accomplishments exempt you from the responsibilities that apply to every citizen." Danny actually laughs out loud inside the courtroom. "Come on, Judge. You know how the world works. People like me keep the economy going. We create jobs, pay taxes. A little flexibility wouldn't hurt." The courtroom goes silent. Even the court reporter stops typing. Judge Caprio slowly removes his glasses. Something experienced observers know signals a turning point. "Mr. Morrison," the judge begins. His voice carries the weight of decades on the bench. "You appear to believe that your financial success excuses you from showing basic respect in this courtroom." Danny responds in a way that surprises everyone present. He raises his hands in clear frustration. "Respect? I've been providing jobs in this city for 15 years. Half the officers who issued this ticket probably bought their cars from my dealerships. And you want to lecture me about respect? When I'm one of the reasons this city runs? Soft reactions ripple through the courtroom. People exchange looks. An older woman seated in the gallery lets out a quiet gasp. Officer Martinez simply shakes his head. Judge Caprio's bailiff moves a step closer, recognizing the tension building. Judge Caprio slowly stands, his 77-year-old frame carrying the presence of his role. The courtroom becomes still. Whispers stop on their own. His voice lowers, firm, calm, impossible to ignore. Sir, your wealth does not entitle you to disregard courtesy. Your tax payments do not purchase you special status here. Employing 47 people does not excuse a failure to understand that in this courtroom, every person is equal under the law. Danny's expression tightens. He is a man accustomed to being deferred to having money resolve problems. Here, that influence means nothing. Equal under the law, he repeats, his tone rising. That's interesting. Coming from a system that lets real criminals walk free while successful business owners are questioned over routine traffic matters. I do not have time for a lecture on morality from someone who has never had to make payroll. The remark lingers heavily in the room. Judge Caprio, who immigrated to the United States as a child, worked through law school, and devoted his life to public service, absorbs the comment with steady restraint. Mr. Morrison, I will give you one opportunity to reconsider your approach and show the appropriate respect for this court. Danny looks at his watch again, lets out a pointed, exaggerated sigh, and then says the words he will soon regret. You know what? I'm done with this. I've got real problems. The courtroom sits in quiet disbelief as Danny heads toward the door. Judge Caprio's voice follows him, steady, controlled, but firm with authority. Mr. Morrison, if you leave this courtroom without being excused, you will be held in contempt of court. Danny doesn't pause. He waves a hand casually behind him. Add it to my tab. Your Honor. The words Your Honor come out with a clear tone of mockery and disregard. Danny walks out through the courtroom doors and disappears into the hallway, leaving behind a room full of people who have just witnessed something almost unheard of in Judge Caprio's many years on the bench. Judge Caprio stands silently for a moment, considering what just happened. In his 45 years as a judge, he has seen arrogance, disrespect, and entitlement, but rarely such an open display of contempt coupled with such a fundamental misunderstanding of the seriousness of the court. Court will be in recess, Judge Caprio says quietly. Mr. Morrison's case will be rescheduled and additional charges will be filed. 30 minutes later, Danny Morrison is sitting inside his BMW outside the courthouse, talking on the phone about a car auction, already treating the entire courtroom situation as insignificant. His phone rings. It's Robert Chen, his attorney for the past 8 years, calling from his office across town. Danny, I just got a call from the courthouse. Please tell me you didn't walk out on Judge Frank Caprio. Danny barely lifts his eyes from the auction catalog. Bob, calm down. It was just some old judge trying to throw his weight around. I have more important things to deal with than a traffic ticket. The silence on the other end lasts longer than usual. When Robert finally speaks, his voice carries a seriousness Danny has never heard before. Danny, listen to me carefully. Judge Frank Caprio is not just some old judge. He is one of the most respected judges in New England. What you did could result in actual jail time. Jail time? For a traffic ticket? Danny laughs slightly. Bob, you're exaggerating. Robert's tone shifts, direct and urgent. Danny, you're not understanding. You walked out in the middle of proceedings. That is criminal contempt of court, and that's not even the main issue. Judge Caprio has full discretion over your sentencing, and you just displayed complete disrespect toward him. Danny finally lowers the auction catalog. What are you saying? He asks. I'm saying that instead of a fine and traffic school, you could now be facing up to 6 months in jail, the suspension of your driver's license, and criminal charges that may impact your business licenses. Danny, you may have just jeopardized everything you've spent the last 15 years building. The reality hits Danny hard, like a shock of cold water. That can't be possible. It was just a traffic case. It stopped being just a traffic case the moment you walked out, Robert replies. And Danny, there's something else you should understand about Judge Caprio. Robert continues, his tone steady and serious. Judge Frank Caprio is known for compassion. He's respected for listening to people, understanding their situations and offering second chances. Danny, He likely would have reduced your fine and sent you to traffic school. Instead, you disrespected a man who has spent his entire life serving this community. Danny's stomach tightens. What do you mean? Robert answers directly, leaving no room for debate. We're going back to that courthouse today. You're going to apologize honestly, and hope that Judge Caprio's well-known compassion also applies to someone who insulted the values he represents. It's Friday afternoon. Danny, Judge Caprio stayed late today specifically to handle your case. The least you can do is return before he leaves for the weekend. Every hour that passes makes this situation more serious. 1 hour later, Robert Chen is pacing outside the courthouse, waiting for Danny. When Danny's BMW pulls up, this time parked legally, Robert notices his client looks noticeably smaller. Quieter, less sure of himself. Are you ready for this? Robert asks. Danny nods, but the usual confidence is gone. Bob, what if he won't listen? Then you'll accept the consequences. But Danny, Judge Caprio is known for giving people an opportunity to make things right. The real question is whether you are genuinely ready to do that. At 4:45 p.m., Judge Frank Caprio is in his chambers, reviewing Danny Morrison's case file and preparing the contempt charges. His secretary knocks on the door. Judge Robert Chen has arrived with his client, Mr. Morrison, requesting to speak with the court. Judge Caprio looks up, genuinely surprised. In his experience, people who leave his courtroom abruptly do not usually return the same day, seeking to correct their behavior. Tell Mr. Chen, I'll see them in 5 minutes. When court reconvenes, the atmosphere has shifted entirely. Danny Morrison enters behind his attorney, and the change in his appearance is clear. The expensive suit is gone, now replaced with simple slacks and a plain shirt. His posture has changed as well, more controlled, respectful, and noticeably humbled. Judge Caprio takes his seat, his expression calm and unreadable. The courtroom is nearly empty, with only a few officers and staff who stayed late, interested in how this unusual situation would unfold. Mr. Morrison, Judge Caprio begins, voice steady. This is highly irregular. You left my courtroom without permission, which showed disregard for this court and its process. Why have you come back? Danny stands. For the first time, there is a slight tremor in his voice. Your Honor, I returned because I realized I made a serious mistake, not only by walking out, which was unacceptable, but also in the way I behaved in your courtroom. Judge Caprio listens closely. Years on the bench have taught him to distinguish between sincere reflection and strategic apology. Your Honor, my attorney explained to me who you are, what you've built here, and how you've served this community. I came into this courtroom acting as if I was above the process, above basic respect. I was wrong. Danny pauses, searching for words that do not come easily to someone accustomed to being in control. I disrespected you personally, and I disrespected what this courtroom stands for. I have no excuse. I am ashamed of how I acted, and I am here to accept whatever consequences you find appropriate. Judge Caprio studies him for a long moment. Over 4 decades, he has developed a sharp ability to recognize genuine remorse from performance. Mr. Morrison, when you left this courtroom 2 hours ago, you demonstrated contempt not just toward me, but toward the law itself. You implied that your wealth and business position entitled you to different treatment. Danny nods, face slightly lowered. Yes, Your Honor. And I was completely wrong. You dismissed the principle of equality under the law. You ignored the importance of respect in this courtroom. You insulted my work and the values this court upholds. Each statement is clear. Danny is now beginning to grasp the full weight of his actions. Yes, Your Honor. I understand that now. Judge Caprio leans forward slightly. Judge Caprio. Mr. Morrison, tell me what changed in the last 2 hours. What brought you back here? For the first time, Danny's voice carries genuine emotion. Danny. Your Honor. My attorney told me about your background, how you came to this country as an immigrant, worked in construction to pay for law school, and how you've spent your life serving others. And I realized something. I've spent so much time building my business that I forgot the importance of simple human decency. He pauses, steadying himself. When I walked out of here earlier, I thought I was important because I have money and because I employ people. But you've spent 40 years serving your community and treating everyone with respect, no matter who they are. I may have succeeded in business, but today I failed as a person. Judge Caprio's expression softens slightly. This is the moment he has been waiting for, where ego gives way to understanding. Danny, Your Honor, I don't expect forgiveness. But I'm asking for the chance to show that I can be better than the man who walked out of this courtroom 2 hours ago. Judge Frank Caprio removes his glasses and wipes them, a gesture familiar to those who know him well, his way of reflecting on something meaningful. The courtroom falls silent, everyone aware that something uncommon is taking place. Judge Caprio, Mr. Morrison, you've given me something to consider this afternoon. Danny remains standing, unsure whether to feel hopeful or concerned. Judge Caprio, when you left here earlier, I was prepared to impose the full penalties, criminal contempt, the maximum fines, even jail time. Your behavior was some of the most disrespectful I've encountered in my career. Danny swallows, understanding the seriousness of the situation. Judge Caprio, but you returned. And that tells me something important. It tells me that beneath the arrogance and entitlement, there is someone who can recognize his mistakes. Judge Caprio rises, his presence commanding the room. Judge Caprio, let me tell you something about respect. Mr. Morrison, I've been on this bench for over 40 years. I've seen wealthy defendants and defendants with very little. I've seen people with advanced degrees and people who can't read. And what I've learned is this: character has nothing to do with money. It's revealed in how someone treats others. Danny listens carefully, absorbing every word. You mentioned you employ 47 people. That is notable, but those 47 people work for you because you pay them, not because you necessarily respect them. Real leadership is not about holding authority. It is about serving others. Judge Caprio steps away from the bench, something he does only on rare occasions, so he can face Danny at eye level. When I came to this country as a young man, I learned that America's strength isn't measured by wealth. It's built on the idea that everyone, no matter where they come from, deserves equal treatment under the law. Today you challenged that idea. Yes, Your Honor, and I was wrong. You were wrong, Mr. Morrison, but you were also willing to learn. You returned. You listened, and that matters. That tells me there is room for growth. Danny feels emotion building in his eyes, something he hasn't allowed in years. Mr. Morrison, I am going to offer something I have never offered before in a case like this. I am giving you a choice. Choice 2. You will spend the next 6 months learning what service means. Every Saturday for 6 months, you will volunteer at the Providence Community Kitchen, helping serve meals to those who cannot afford them. You will work alongside individuals who have very little but still show generosity and care for others. Danny is taken aback. This is not what he expected. And in addition, Mr. Morrison, you will spend 4 hours each month observing community court. You will watch cases involving people who show respect despite having almost nothing. You will see the difference between genuine dignity and status based on wealth. Judge Caprio returns to his bench, but his tone remains steady and personal. If you choose this path, you will report directly to me each month. You will submit a written reflection on what you learned, and if after 6 months you demonstrate a real understanding of respect and service, I will reduce your charges to a basic traffic violation. Danny can hardly speak, Your Honor. Why give me this opportunity? Judge Caprio's response becomes a defining moment for both of them. Because, Mr. Morrison, I believe in redemption. People can change. They can grow. They can become better than their worst decisions. Today you showed me your worst. Now I want to see your best. Danny finally lets the tears fall. Tears he has not allowed in years. Your Honor, I choose the community service. I want to learn. I want to improve. 6 months later, Danny Morrison returns to Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom to give his final report. This time he is not alone. Behind him sit 12 individuals, volunteers from the Providence Community Kitchen, members of the community court staff, and people whose lives he impacted during his service. Danny approaches the bench, and his posture now shows genuine respect rather than forced obedience. In his hands he holds a folder filled with reports, letters and photographs. Your Honor, I'm here to report on my 6 months of community service. Judge Caprio, now 78, leans back with clear interest. In over 40 years on the bench, he has witnessed many court-ordered service assignments, but rarely a change in someone's character this evident. Tell me what you've learned. Mr. Morrison? Danny opens the folder, but instead of reading from it, he speaks directly and sincerely. Your Honor, 6 months ago I believed success meant money and power. I judged myself by my bank account and how easily I could control or pressure others. I now understand I was completely mistaken. He gestures toward the people seated behind him. These individuals taught me what real success is. Maria, in the third row, has volunteered at the community kitchen for 8 years. She works 2 jobs yet still gives her Saturdays to serve meals to those who have nothing. She taught me that generosity isn't about how much you have. It's about offering what you can, even when it's difficult. Judge Caprio observes the sincerity in Danny's tone and the way he regards the volunteers with true respect. Your Honor, I'll never forget my first day at the kitchen. I arrived in a $300 shirt, thinking I was doing something charitable. When I tried to serve soup and ended up spilling it, a homeless veteran named Frank, yes, Frank like you, Your Honor, showed me how to do it correctly. Danny pauses. Steadying his voice, he told me, son, service isn't about looking impressive. It's about making others feel respected. That man had lost his home, his family, and his work, yet he carried more dignity and grace than I had shown in years. I've served over 200 meals these last 6 months, but more importantly, I've shared meals with people who had almost nothing yet still offered what they could. From them, I learned dignity. I remember several of those moments clearly, but the most meaningful lesson I gained, Your Honor, is that respect is not demanded. It is earned through service. 6 months ago, I believed people should respect me because of my wealth. Now I understand that the only respect that truly matters comes from helping others. Danny takes out a letter from his folder. Your Honor, this letter is from the director of the Providence Community Kitchen. They've invited me to join their board of directors. Not because of my financial support, though I'm honored to now be their largest donor, but because of the work I've done alongside their volunteers. Judge Caprio raises his eyebrows slightly. This goes further than he anticipated. There's more, Your Honor. I've reorganized my businesses. Every employee now receives profit sharing, full health benefits, and paid volunteer leave. I've learned that real success is about uplifting others, not standing above them. Danny pauses, steadying himself before finishing. Your Honor, 6 months ago, I appeared successful, but I was empty. I had money but no direction. You could have ended my future with one ruling. Instead, you changed it by showing me what service truly means. Judge Frank Caprio stands, his tone sincere. Mr. Morrison, in my 45 years on this bench, many individuals have come through this courtroom. Some leave unchanged, some resentful, but a few leave transformed. You are an example of what our justice system can hope to achieve. The courtroom applauds, especially the volunteers present to support Danny. Your charges are reduced to a simple traffic violation, and the fine is suspended. But the more important outcome is the lesson you have taken with you. True leadership is service. Real dignity comes from lifting others. Respect is earned through what we do, not what we own. Judge Caprio extends his hand. Welcome to the community of those who understand that success is measured not by accumulation, but by contribution. Danny accepts the handshake, this time as an equal. 2 individuals who understand that justice is ultimately about helping people become their best selves. This is the story of Danny Morrison,